Illinois next, who is now on a 4-game winning streak. They went on the road tonight to the Barn, 18-point victory over Minnesota. And I don't want to go explicitly 1-for-1 with this, but Tom Izzo did in the post-game press conference a couple of days ago. Sky Clark left this team, and this team is 4-0 since Sky Clark left this team. Is it that simple, Matt?
I mean, sometimes in terms of your culture, you got to fight for your culture. You've got to, every single day, what are you doing to fight for your culture? And if something or someone is removed from your team in order to make your team better and elevate your culture, that's what happens. And I'm not trying to take a knock on Sky Clark. I'm not doing that. But since he's left, things have been elevated. And that just goes to show you that, you've got to fight for that each and every day. I mean, Minnesota going 3 for 13 from 3 didn't help. You look at their 4 straight wins: Wisconsin, at Nebraska, Michigan State at home, at Minnesota. I think Terrence Shannon has been absolutely terrific. And they've been through that adversity, right? I mean, they had a huge win, in what was it, November versus Texas, and they were kind of feeling themselves. And then it was, that's when they kind of took that dip right after that game and, made some changes, and it's helped their team. And fighting for that culture every single day is the most important thing. It's not about your style of play. It's not what plays you're running. It's not how you're defending. You can play zone, you can press, you can do things a lot of different ways, but your locker room at the end of the day is the most important thing. And having a together connected team is the most important thing. And, looking what has happened, recently with Illinois, I think you see that. And even the celebration. And I know, sometimes I feel like the locker room's sacred, right? You don't want to see, even as a coach, going in the locker room and celebrate with your guys. You don't want that on social media, but you see Coach Underwood and celebrating with his team after all the negativity around him and, how he is and his press conferences and all those things. And to see him celebrate with his guys, man, that team's connected right now. And I think that's why they're having success.
Yeah, it also helps when you've got a guy like Matthew Meyer, who has gone for 19 points in back-to-back games. He was a guy who, when Illinois was struggling earlier in the season, usually he was struggling. And he was also one of the guys who was loud about their struggle, saying that he and the coaches didn't necessarily see eye to eye. Brad Underwood has talked in depth about he needed to make some dietary changes. He needed to get his body in shape. He gave him a ton of praise after the Michigan State game a couple of days ago. And it certainly looks like it's paying off, right, Pat?
Well, that's the maturity, and it's multifaceted. Maturity of that young man being able to take on coaching, being able to accept that, hey, this isn't criticism. And I struggled with this for a while, and Coach McCall will tell you that. But this isn't saying you're bad, but it's saying you are in the way of you. And I can see the things that you can get out of the way. Hey, and I'm going to challenge you because you came here. I believe in you. You can help the team, because the first 8 games, Matt was not very good. He was averaging 5 points, 40%, maybe 40% from the field. I when I was on the other night, I talked about it. These last 9 games, he's 16 points per game, almost 50% from the field, over 40% from the 3-point line, and he's competing. He's blocking so many shots. I had no idea he's pretty much a shot blocker at this point. The competitive spirit, you can see that whatever was done, whatever Coach Underwood did to light a fire under his belly to challenge him, he's turned it on and become a completely different player, the player that they need. That this is the team now, I believe, if they went back up against a Texas team, that they would win that game again. I was after their loss, the blowout loss to Missouri, I said, who is this? Who is this team? But now I'm back to jumping on the bandwagon that Illinois is going to make a run.
Yeah, they just got a lot of dudes. And I don't think anybody, even in the country, let alone the Big Ten, has questioned the talent level of this team. But you heard Ben Johnson tonight and Tom Izzo before him after the last 2 games say they think this is the most talented team in the conference. When you have a guy in Terrence Shannon who's played for some great teams in college and is averaging 18 points a game this year, then you add Meyer and Danger, who come from a national championship team at Baylor. You add a guy in Coleman Hawkins, who literally has a triple-double this season. There's a lot of talent on this team. The question to me with all the Illinois basketball I watched this season is not how good can they be. It's how do they handle the dips? because they're an emotionally inconsistent team to me. And when things are going well, they're one of the best teams in the country. When things aren't going well, they've really folded in on themselves until the last few weeks. I mean, a team, given the Sky Clark situation, they didn't really need much more than that to really make this a disaster. Instead, it seems the guys have really come together, played some of their best basketball, and you got to give our guy Daddy Brad Underwood some credit for that as well.